Yeah, New Orleans, run by DEI, run by people who didn't earn it, run by three women, we're finding out. Let's go through this. The mayor of New Orleans is a woman by the name of LaToya Cantrell. She is from Compton, California. She came to New Orleans to attend Xavier University. She's been in trouble for spending government money on her personal credit card or using a government credit card for her personal use. I'm sorry. She's under investigation for taking bribes. She's got a bunch of other controversies. And so for many of you that have not been following LaToya Cantrell, you got introduced to her in the past 48, 72 hours because, of the tragedy that happened in New Orleans. And she was part of the press conference. The crazed man that drove his car through people partying on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, killed about a dozen people. We got to meet LaToya Cantrell, and I'm not blaming LaToya Cantrell for the guy driving his car through that many people and killing that many people. But when I watched the press conference and saw LaToya Cantrell, I can't say she inspired a lot of confidence. And neither did the police superintendent, Ann Kirkpatrick. Ann Kirkpatrick, let's call her Granny. She's 64 years old. She grew up in Memphis. She did her postgraduate work in the Pacific Northwest. She was hired as a cop in Oakland, was a finalist to be the top cop in Chicago, before she, at age 64, landing the job to oversee the New Orleans Police Department. Shockingly, just 2 months ago, I believe, or no, I'm sorry, 6 months ago, she struck two pedestrians with a police vehicle. The story was quickly swept under the rug that old Granny, the head of the police department, can't drive a police car that well and struck two pedestrians. That all went away, but we heard from Ann Kirkpatrick, Granny, at this press conference as well. And then finally, we heard from Aletha Duncan. She's the assistant special agent in charge of the FBI in New Orleans field office. And her claim to fame during this press conference was the guy has an ISIS flag on his car, and she took to the podium or took the microphone and said, "This is not a terrorist attack." And everybody else is like, yeah, this is a terrorist attack, but what are we doing here? And look, I know many of you all dislike me because you think I'm a sexist pig. I'm not a sexist pig. I'm just someone that believes in male leadership because male leadership actually works and it's how God designed. And so anybody that watched these events in New Orleans and saw these three women take the microphone, you weren't filled with confidence. I'm just sorry. If you were honest with yourself, you looked at the special agent nose ring, the FBI special agent that, what's her name, Aletha Duncan, she's got a nose earring. You weren't impressed. You weren't impressed by the 80-year-old Joe Biden's twin sister who is the superintendent of police. You just weren't impressed. You were like, what is going on in New Orleans? And then by the time you got to LaToya Cantrell, the mayor, you're like, where are the men? What's going on in New Orleans? You're telling me that this type of tragedy happens in New Orleans and there's no male leadership to speak to it, to talk about, hey, what we're going to do to prevent this from happening? And maybe there are many of you out there like, hey, these women, they've earned these jobs, they can do it, and you're being sexist. Look, man, when it comes to protection, let's think this through. Protection, because that's what this is about. Someone gets in a vehicle, rents a vehicle, drives a car through a crowded street and kills 12 people. This is about protection. What group of people, do they have XY chromosome or XX chromosome? Which group is best equipped to protect people? Think it through. Don't just call me sexist. Use some common sense. When you want to be protected, who do you think of? Man or woman? Just stop. And I know some of you men out there want to be allies to feminists, and you want to move into their delusional state of like, oh, women can do anything men can do. And I want Queen Latifah and the Equalizer to show up and save me. And I watched Wakanda Forever and the Black Queens, and I watched the Woman King movie. And these women, they can save us. In the world of whiskey, there's premium, and then there's Fox and Olden. And once you taste the difference, the choice will be clear. Buy online at foxandolden.com. Use the promo code America for free shipping. That's foxandolden, ODEN.com. Promo code America to get free shipping. American made, American proud. I'm not living in that fantasy world. Men, we're designed to protect. That is our job. That is our duty. New Orleans is running women out there. Also, everybody can feel good and everybody can say, oh, I'm not sexist, and oh, we owe these women a debt. And if we had been fair to women in the 17 and 1800s, they would have built America. We would have founding mothers, not founding fathers, because women would have conquered this land. Women would have fought off the Indians. Women would have written the Constitution. Women would have beaten Great Britain and that dynasty. Women, they can do it all. They would have fought the Civil War if we had just let them, but we're so sexist. And women, they would have been the Wright sisters. They would have invented flying. They would have been Henry Ford and made cars. They would have been, what's his name, Harriman, that built train tracks all across America. If we just weren't so sexist, women would have built skyscrapers. They would have fallen to their death as roughnecks. Women would have done it all. We just stopped them because we're so sexist. No, we're risk takers. No, we're more innovative. We're not better than them. They have a role. They've rejected that role, and we've allowed them to reject that role. And we've created this delusion that taking care of your kids, nurturing and developing your kids, is less important than being in some cubicle pushing paper and pretending that you're running a police department without men. Not good protection. You can live off in some fantasy world that some 28-year-old woman that has a menstrual cycle once a month can protect you better than a man, but I'm not living in that world. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.